The usage for Great Tusk is ridiculous. Hey guys, it's your boy NJ. If you're new to the channel, please hit subscribe. We're here to talk about Great Tusk and the most recent usage statistics that came out. World Cup just now came to, I would say, a halt, not a close, as qualifying stage is still ongoing, as there's going to be a tiebreaker. But basically most of the matches that got played, over 130 games, and the best of the best for their countries that are trying to get into the main event of World Cup, playing to the highest of their ability and simply just trying to win Pokemon games. Great Tusk usage was 82%. That is ridiculous, and it's simply ludicrous. I would say that recently, like, the highest its usage peaked in tournament play was 60%. And shoot, you guys have even seen it on ladder, its usage being over 50%. Like Gambit and it being simply neck and neck when it comes to usage. And I just want to talk about in this video about how ridiculous Great Tusk usage is and why its usage is so ridiculous. So Great Tusk has a million sets basically. It's able to run Jetpack, it's able to run Leftovers, it's able to run Choice Scarf, it's able to run Booster Energy, it's able to run Focus Sash, it's able to run Assault Vest. And every single one of these sets are viable, and it really just comes down to how your team is structured, how you're going to use Great Tusk. It is without a doubt, of course, the best Pokemon in this SVOU metagame. Now, of course, Great Tusk's usage is due to the fact that we have currently a limited dex, and of course, Home will change that, and more Pokemon will be introduced that will lower the usage of Great Tusk. But don't get me wrong, even with these new Pokemon that will be introduced, Great Tusk will still have a chokehold potentially on the metagame due to it being able to remove hazards. It will still be the best rapid spinner in the tier. I'm not going to say it will be the best removal from the tier, as with Home coming up, there may be the return of Defog, moves like Defog and Scald, but more so we're talking about Defog in this case because of removal. We may see Pokemon like Volcanion, Zapdos, Dragonite, and others be better removers as we see the metagame progress, but nonetheless, as it currently stands, that responsibility is handled by Great Tusk. Great Tusk usage being so high, I feel like also is the fact that there are so many viable and so many scary physical sweepers that are currently in the metagame, like King Gambit, like Dragonite. Let's see. Cinderace is very relevant right now. Usage is high as well. Roymoon comes to mind, but generally speaking, Roymoon's going to be getting past Great Tusk if it is going to be Tera Flying, which is the most consistent set. But shoot, Roymoon was so prevalent in World Cup as being a banded user, so Great Tusk was generally speaking the switch into those banded crunches that Great Tusk would have to come in on, and Roymoon would fire off. Great Tusk being able to be the prevalent mon that it is, using leftovers, being able to set rocks, being able to come in on those strong attacks, being able to rapid spin off those rocks, being able to apply pressure, being able to speed games up. Just the fact that Great Tusk has the move knockoff, being able to knock off mons like Rotom W, Amoonga, switch-ins like Golden Go trying to come in to potentially block a rapid spin, or he shoot even like a Dragapult trying to prevent a rapid spin. Being able to whittle down Pokemon like Tinglu, who are consistently setting up hazards. Switching in and knocking off leftovers off of a Garganacl or off of a Corviknight. Great Tusk is able to do so much in a game that it may not show up in the score sheet per se. Like, you may not see your Great Tusk get even a kill in a game by itself, but just by it setting up rocks, just by it firing off, it's still very strong earthquakes. Even though, of course, it, you know, if you're running a bulky set, it has no attack investment, you're still basically hitting a 300 attack, and then as you see, it's 298, so you're gonna need 300 with a 131, of course, attack stat. And then, of course, you got the 100 base power, move, and earthquake. You're firing off those strong attacks. You're knocking off items. You're setting up rocks. You're able to remove hazards off the playing field, so you're able to have more longevity in the match. What it's able to do is unparalleled. You can run. Why do I have earth power? What's this type? You can run items like choice scarf, so it can be a revenger. You can run booster energy, so you get that one-time speed boost that can be very important to potentially removing hazards on a hyper-offensive build that is strictly set on making sure that hazards stay on the field. And it's using stuff like double ghost, golden go, dragapult, preventing hazards, but it's really hard for those type of structures to handle a speed booster energy Great Tusk. Or shoot, you may even run a booster attack Great Tusk, and you're firing off crazy strong close combats, crazy strong headlong rushes, earthquakes, etc. You can maybe run Focus Sash, take whatever attack. You don't have to worry about, of course, dying. You're setting up your hazard. You're firing off still strong attacks, and you're also removing hazards from being set by an opposing lead. Running Assault Vest, taking that abysmal special attack, abysmal special defense stat that it has, and still being able to take hits and then firing off a strong attack back at your opponent. Of course, you can pair this with Tera, and let's not forget about Tera. Great Tusk is a very popular Tera user. Defensively, you're going to see Great Tusk use water or fire. When Chi and Pow was very prevalent, you're seeing defensive Great Tusks run water a lot because, of course, it would be able to resist the powerful Icicle Crash that will be thrown at the Great Tusk. You see Great Tusk running fire as it can avoid a Will-O-Wisp from Cinderace, or just, you know, general resisting powerful fire attacks from Volcarona, especially when Volcarona was very prevalent with bulky Will-O-Wisp sets. He can run, of course, Tera Type Ghost. It can start preventing other Great Tusk from removing hazards or potentially trying to get momentum. And speaking of momentum, let's talk about the set that gets momentum, and that is the Bulk Up Rapid Spin Great Tusk set. It is not as dominant as it was when I would say it first started being popularized, but this set, like, let's not get it twisted, it still can ruin your team. And if it gets going, especially or even in a long game when it has wish support from the mon such as Screamtail, it being able to wish it back to health, and the longevity that is able to possess in games such as that, it's just an annoying nuisance of a Pokemon. This Pokemon has 82% usage. Now, don't get it twisted. Just because a mon has over 80% usage does not mean it's broken. Great Tusk in the current metagame is perfectly fine. In fact, the metagame, probably as it currently stands, would completely fall apart without Great Tusk. I mean, Great Tusk being able to come into like a Garganacl Salt Cure, being able to potentially force it out with an Earthquake or pressure it with a knockoff, and still being able to remain relevant throughout the game is so important. You know, there's so many Pokemon currently in the metagame that can't just simply switch into a Salt Cure and stay relevant throughout the game. Like, it's really limited to mons like Great Tusk, or limited to mons like Tinglu or Slowking that can able to take it. Of course, it still takes that 25%, but it can just regen it off and Chilly Reception out, or shoot a mon like a Moon who's able to take the Salt Cures and then just regen away. Like, it being able to fit on so many team builds and so many team structures. It can fit on offense, bulky offense, balance. The only team structure that you do not see Great Tusk on is Stall. And shoot, if Stall wanted to, it probably could figure out a way for it to be prevalent and relevant. Great Tusk is that mon. Great Tusk is SVOU. And I mean, these usage stats just basically confirm that.